Your heart determines what you will or you won't receive. Your heart determines what you will or you won't do. Matthew 6:21 says it like this: where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. What is this word here, heart? What does that mean? It means the soul or the mind. What is the soul? It's the mind, will, and emotions. It's the seat of thoughts. It's where passion comes from. It's where desires come from. It's where appetites come from. It's where your affections, your purposes, your endeavors. It's where your intelligence comes from. Not only that, it's where your will and character come from. But this is the one that stuck out to me the most. It's where your sensibilities, your affections, your emotions, your desires, your appetites, and your passions come from. You understand what I just said? That is your heart. Where your treasure is, that's where your sensibilities, your affections, your emotions, your desires, your appetites, and your passions will be also. Matthew chapter 6, verses 43 through 49 holds the discussion about what the difference is between a good tree and a bad tree. It says, a good tree bringeth not forth corrupt fruit, neither doth a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. For every tree is known by its own fruit. For of thorns men do not gather figs. You don't get figs from thorns. Nor of bramble bush gather they grapes. You don't get grapes out of a bramble bush. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart. See, we're back on this heart thing, and we're back on this treasure. And treasure is what you collect, the thing that's most important to you, the thing that's most valuable, what you take in abundance, what you gather in abundance. Where your treasure is, your storehouse, that's where your heart will be also. Your passions, your affections, your appetite, your desires, your emotions. So it says here in Matthew chapter 6, verse 45, a good man out of the good treasures, out of the good storehouse, out of the good value and abundance of his heart, of his passions, of his desires, of his emotions, bringeth forth that which is good. And an evil man out of the evil treasures of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. I don't need to explain that, do I? It's about your treasure, what you treasure, and whatever you treasure, that's where your heart is. So what do you really want? I keep asking the question because many people I keep hearing say, I want God. Oh, I want more of God. Oh, I want this. I want that. It's always something that sounds so cliche or so try to be so deep or so spiritual. Yet they don't do the things that are necessary to obtain what they desire. I remember David saying something like this: one thing have I desired of the Lord, and that will I seek after. You see how that works? I desire this and I seek this. You see that? I desire it, I want it, and I'm going after it. You follow what I'm saying? The thing that I love about God in this whole situation is the fact that he gives us mercy, because he knew that there were people that came before us that had no desire for him. So in Exodus chapter 20, he discusses the fact that God is a jealous God, and he visits the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation. Well, what does that mean? When we talk about that scripture, you usually think about, you think of the term generational curses. Well, what is that? It means that the iniquity, the hidden sin, the foulness, the separation, the despising of God visits, those sins, those iniquities, those hidden things visit people in the family. So you had this one person that came along and they were haters of God. They didn't love God. They hated him. And that iniquity visits the rest of the family. So you know how you have a bunch of people in the family that are alcoholics, or a bunch of people in the family that have sexual sin, or drug addicts, or that kind of thing. That's that iniquity visiting the rest of the family. Well, here's the cool thing about this. It's just to visit. It doesn't have to come to stay. And when someone visits me, I actually have the option of whether I want to let them in or not. I shared a blog on my webpage the other day that said, look through the peephole before you open the door. I know that sounds funny. How many times have you watched a movie and just been absolutely outdone because someone's knocking at the door and the person just gets up and runs over to the door? Well, you know, one of two things are going to happen. It's either somebody good on the other side of the door, but 9 times out of 10, it's a bad guy on the other side of the door. The thing that I love about how God's mercy works is that this iniquity comes to visit. It doesn't come to live. It doesn't come to stay. It doesn't have a right. It only has the right that I give it. If I allow it to visit and hang out, then that's fine. If I allow the visitation at my door to become an invitation, then that's another thing. Okay? But it's absolutely my choice because, see, it says here, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love him and keep his commandments. That's the second part of that. That's verse 6. So it's two sides here. So while you have the one side where someone in the family hated God and they perpetuated this iniquity that comes and visits, then you have this person that loves God and they can stop the curse, stop that iniquity from visiting. You follow what I'm saying? They can create a whole nother thing, a blessing that comes. Now back to this whole look through the peephole before you open the door thing. I thought it was pretty neat how God woke me up and was sharing this with me. Now let's go back to the whole issue of the heart being the center where everything happens, the mind, it being the center, the core of your being. Matthew chapter 5 verse 8 says, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. See, it all goes back to this heart issue, okay? What do you really want? What you treasure is where your heart is also. What's in abundance, what you value the most, what you value in abundance is where your heart is also. So blessed is the pure in heart. Blessed are the pure in heart, the people whose hearts are clean, whose hearts are pure. You know, their thoughts are pure. It refers to the mind, the feelings, the emotions, pure feelings, pure emotions, pure thoughts. Blessed is that man. What does that mean? It means well off. To be in a good position. That person's in a good position who has a pure heart, a clean heart. For they shall see God. This is not just a physical scene, as in the end of time, I'll see God. But this is a mental scene. This is a thing about perception. Where your heart is, that's the thing that you treasure. See, you can't see God move on your behalf if your treasure is everything but him. But if your treasure is him, if your treasure is to do the will of God and your treasure is the things of God, then you'll see him. You'll see him show up. You'll see his hand move. You follow what I'm saying? You'll perceive him in the things that you do. You'll perceive his goodness. You'll perceive his mercy. You'll perceive his grace. You'll see him. You'll identify him. You'll know him. You'll know when he's present. You follow what I'm saying? This word see here means to be or become aware of by observation, to perceive with the eyes, to discern visually, to experience or witness, for they shall see God. You understand what I'm saying? But you have to have a pure heart. So what do you really want? That's the question. I hear what you're saying with your mouth, but are your actions lining up with what you're saying with your mouth? Is what's in your heart lining up with your actions?